My name is Sarah Allnatt, and I am an art education major at Carson Newman University. I graduated from Walter State Community College at the top of my class with a 4.0 GPA. And I have an associate's degree in general studies, but the main emphasis was in elementary education. I work as an intern for the preschool directors at Manly Baptist Church, and I have a deep passion for working with children. I think what inspired me to start working with kids was when I was about 13 years old. I got my very first babysitting job for a family that had just moved in up the road. After about a year or so of babysitting for this family, my reputation got out to other different families in the community, and so I was asked by multiple other parents to come and watch their kids. Sooner or later, I ended up at Manly Baptist Church. When little kids hear the term art, a lot of times they think of construction paper, or the first time they get to use scissors, or glue sticks, and paints, and watercolors. And then as kids get older, into the older grades, kids think, oh, we can work with ceramics, we can work with pottery and clay, and we're going to get to paint on giant canvases. And those are all definitions of art. But if you were to ask me what my personal definition of art is, I feel like it goes much deeper. I feel like it goes into the thoughts and the feelings and the processes that a person can't physically speak themselves, but instead they draw on the paper. Really, to a teacher, a concept is, did you understand how to put the paint on the canvas, or did you understand how to draw the human figure? Those are concepts, I would say, of art. But really, painting, drawing, they're a part of the four main genres of art. The four main genres include painting, drawing, graphic design, and photography. And underneath those different genres, you have different styles, you have techniques, you have different materials and different tools and instruments through which to implement those styles into that particular genre of art. For example, for painting, you have different kinds of paints, you have different types of brushes, and the techniques with which you apply that paint to the canvas using those brushes makes it a skill to a student. The same technique applies with drawing. In drawing, you have charcoal, you have graphite, you have different kinds and types of pencils, you have different drawing implements and tools. You can use a rag to smudge graphite onto a piece of drawing paper. Again, that all applies to whether or not how you use those materials and in what style you choose to use them in, and apply that to the paper typifies that genre. With graphic design, you're working on computers. There's different apps that you can download and different programs that help a student to be able to mix different kinds of media. So instead of painting a red square and putting it into the computer, basically on a computer you can draw a red square. There's all different kinds of other elements you can include in graphic design. And as for photography, photography is a big genre itself. Everything from the type of a camera that you want to use, to the type of film that you're going to be putting in the camera, to the different kinds of shots and the angles, and whether it's black and white photography or color photography, all of that is based under that type of genre. Personally, I would have to say that my favorite genre of art would be painting. And it's everything from working with acrylics, to oil colors, to watercolors. And the reason is I can express my feelings and emotions through different colors. And the colors aren't conformed to a simple shape. You can put it on the paper or put it on the canvas and it's still wet. I can manipulate it to however I want it to look. I can use different brush strokes in different ways, and it's not confined to one specific shape. To say that probably my favorite genre when it comes to teaching little kids is, I think I would fall into two categories: drawing and 3D art making. For example, with drawing, there's a bunch of different ways you can teach kids to draw. As kids, when they're younger, they learn shapes first. So you can put different shapes together to create a picture. And kids love shapes. When they know their shapes and have them down, they like to be able to point out, oh, this is a square, this is a circle. And so I have to say drawing is probably one of those genres that's really easy to teach to kids, but it's also really cool to see their faces light up when they realize, oh my goodness, you can put these shapes together and this is the picture you get. Another category that I say I really would love to teach to kids is 3D art making. And this can cover a wide variety of materials, everything from clay to Play-Doh to cardboard. It's really fun teaching 3D art to kids, because when you give them Play-Doh for the first time, they're like, this is so squishy. And they will squish it so hard in between their fingers. You know, they get in between their hands and they'll create different shapes with it. And again, going back on the idea of shapes, kids love to put shapes together. So when they're given Play-Doh and you teach them how to make a square or to cut out a circle and say, put them together and what do you get? Kids absolutely love doing it. I have thought about the grade range in which I were to someday teach art after I do graduate. When I first started school, I was determined that I was going to teach all grades. It didn't matter which one, provided I was in the classroom at the front of a class and I had 20 to 30 students right there, I was happy. So it didn't matter to me. Me a couple years ago would have said, I can teach kindergarten or I can teach 12th grade. You tell me which you want me to teach. But as I've thought about it more and more over the years, being in school and going on different field trips to different classrooms, I've been in all different grade ranges, and I have to say probably out of all of the schools I've visited and the classrooms I've been in, elementary school is probably the grade range that I really feel called to teach. The annual journal that the English department at Carson Newman University posts once a year, and it's called Ampersand. And in it, they posted my painting called Come Sail Away, which is one of the pieces that was inspired by my grandfather.
Guess I'm your canvas, beautiful black and blue, painted in mercy's hue.
I would say that my mother and my father were the two people that really inspired me when it came to my art making and the different types of projects that I made while I was in school. Every time I talked about whether or not I wanted to sit down and color, or wanted to draw, or wanted to use watercolor paints, and I wanted to get messy, and they were the ones that really inspired me, and they said, yes, come here, sit down, and start making something. They would give me Play-Doh, or they would give me crayons and pencils and my own sketchbooks and said, here you go, this is your very own work these are your very own materials that you can use to create whatever you wanted. There was no limit as to what I could make as a young child. I have to say, I'm very much the epitome of the definition of a perfectionist. So when it comes to art and perfection at the same time, that's kind of where, you have sort of like a parody, because art really isn't about perfection at all. I've been in multiple art classes where I tell the professor, it doesn't look right, it's not perfect, it's not the way I want it to be. And he said, professors have told me we are perfectionists and it doesn't matter. Art is not about perfectionism, although you can get really caught up in the details if you really want something to look like a particular style. For example, realism. If you really want your work to look realistic of the picture that you're looking at or of the landscape that you viewed, that's maybe where a little bit of perfectionist comes in handy, to where you place things on the canvas or you place things on the page as exactly to how you as the artist personally saw that vision yourself. As an artist, my artwork represents how I viewed the world. There's a great quote, and it's by Aristotle, and it says that the aim of the artist is not just to represent the physical appearance of something, but their inward significance. So for example, if I were to take my camera and go out and photograph a landscape, my goal is not just to photograph the beauty of the landscape, but the inward beauty of the landscape. And the second quote that really inspires me is by Andre Gide, and it says that art is the collaboration between God and the artist, and the less that the artist does, the better. So for me as an artist, my personal philosophy, the art that I'm creating is showing how I do see the world and how I do see certain aspects of a particular subject in which I'm photographing. But it's not just, for me, it's also to show a different type, a different side of a particular subject or theme or aspect through which my art is based off. I guess if someone ever came to me asking for advice on how to pursue a passion or how to pursue a specific career in art, with whether or not that's a good thing or a bad thing, or should I do it or should I not do it, I would say yes, do it. I would also challenge the individual to sort of dig deeper as to why, or to the different categories and genres that they enjoy the most about art. So for example, do you just want to draw or paint? Maybe your calling is to just do drawing and painting your art. Maybe you want to work in ceramics and pottery and you want to open your own shop and you would like to market off of that. That's also another option. Or you can do like what I'm doing in school, and that is to pursue a career in teaching others about the wonderful beauty of art. You can range that from anywhere from teaching K through 12th graders, from just simply teaching classes at local institutions or universities, and it can be in all forms of art. You can teach any kind of art, or you can also pick a specific thing you want to teach someone, for example, pottery or ceramics. So if that's something you really are passionate about, but you don't want to do a business in it, you just want to teach that, then I would encourage the individual to dig deeper into what age group speaks to that person the most, that they would feel most comfortable with and get the joy out of teaching the most.
I'll be your masterpiece.